The Philadephia Phillies are in the thick of the NL East playoff race as well as the NL wildcard race. And here with me to talk about the Phillies and their chances to clinch a spot in the playoffs is longtime Phillies fan and a good friend of mine, Brian Banks. Brian, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, Earl. Great to be here.
And thank you for being on. I know, like I said, when I knew the Phillies were in the hunt of it, I'm like, we even talked about this a few months ago. I'm like, if they just keep treading water, just watch, they'll get hot. And they did. And they took a lead in the division for a little bit. And I know they're still battling it out with not only the Braves, but the Mets as well. But I wanted to ask you, how long have you been a fan of the Phillies and what made you become a Phillies fan?
Man, it had to be around 8, 9, 10 years old. I played on the Phillies Little League team, so that kind of, had an influence over that. When I really started watching baseball, I became a Phillies fan as a result.
To you, what is the most memorable moment as a Phillies fan? I know, especially in the past 15 years, there have been so many different ones, but to you, which one stands out the most?
I mean, it got to be the World Series win. I mean, of course, in 2008. And, beat the Rays. Also, of course, you got, Roy Halladay, rest in peace. But his perfect game, and then the same season, no hitter in the playoffs. Then thinking back, 91, Tommy Green when he threw his no hitter, that was cool.
To you, coming into the season, I know after the weird, as we call it, the bizarro season of 2020, Phillies just falling on the outside, especially with a 3-team race for that last spot, the 8th spot in the NL playoffs. What were your thoughts going into a full season, with the expectation there was going to be a full season, about what the Phillies could do with Girardi as manager, again, having a whole 162-game slate to be able to make an impact?
Honestly, man, my expectations, listening to broadcast on television, overhyping everything up, I had the expectation they were going to be playing around 500 baseball because of the lineup that they have. I mean, you got veteran ball players, might be hard for them to stay healthy, which that's proven to be a case this year. I didn't think they were going to be in the playoff race now, but I'm glad that they are. Trust me. I just thought they were going to be floating around 500 the whole season, which I guess they are.
Was there a point in the season that made you feel confident about their playoff hopes, especially seeing how tough, I guess, battle-tested the National League East is, as opposed to looking at the West where you have 3 juggernauts there? Was there a point, a particular game or moment that made you think, the Phillies can make the playoffs?
I was just thinking that when they called fire in August, at the end of July, beginning of August, when they won those games, an 8-game winning streak. He was like, yeah, these guys are playing pretty good and continue to play well like that. And, the pitching is solid. I mean, it doesn't have to be dominant, but solid, not giving up any major hits or runs or anything like that. And the offense producing, I mean, I think, they would have a chance to, compete against the best team.
Was there a moment where you thought, well, the Phillies don't have a snowball's chance in hell to make the playoffs?
Yeah, it was after that winning streak. After the winning streak, they started dropping a bunch of series and struggled to try to keep their head above water. I mean, still fighting.
Just looking at it, when you think about Joe Girardi coming in, I know there's the pedigree of him managing the Marlins and then managing the Yankees. To you, what was the initial thought, especially after the Gabe Kapler experiment ended and didn't go well, that Girardi could bring in there that the Phillies needed sorely?
Well, I mean, it's a new leadership role, get the players motivated, but I know they were at a disadvantage in the beginning because of the personnel that was been shifted around or trades here and there, people coming in, people going. I just know that they were going to struggle early on, which they did. That's what I expected from them, but I didn't, expect them to go to the World Series or things like ESPN and places we're talking about. Craziness.
What do you think Girardi's strength has been as a manager?
I think he seems to let the players play, let the players be themselves and let the personality shine.
What do you say has been the strength of this Phillies team this year? I know that signing Zach Wheeler a while back, that also proved to be huge. And I know that him in and Arrieta out. But what do you think has been the strength of this Philly squad and allowed them to be competitive in the National League East?
I wasn't really a fan of him when he came in. Still kind of borderline, but Bryce Harper's been a huge part about how the Phillies has been staying in the race. He's been hitting well over the past month and a half. So, I mean, he's been the spark plug. So everybody's been rallying around.
Yeah, I know when it comes to Bryce Harper, like you said, we've talked about it all fair many times that you felt like the money could have been better spent. But to you, what do you feel that Harper brings to this team as well? I know it's another question about what can this person bring to the Phillies organization, but what do you feel like he does bring to him? I know there's always a mentality. He's a hard-nosed player and does a lot of stuff, and then sometimes he can carry a team at a point.
Yeah, I mean, he goes in each day, plays hard. Didn't really see any of those the negatives like I saw when he played with Washington so far. So I mean, he seems like he rallies the team around him. He's always rallying. He is always in front of the camera. Always lots of energy. You need that on a team in order for the team to stay in the positive mind state.
Going into the playoffs, if the Phillies make the playoffs, who do you feel the Phillies match up the best with in the National League? Who do you feel like could be a good test for them that they could probably overcome?
I mean, if the Phillies get in a wild card, I mean, I would say Atlanta. I mean, that will be the team that will match up with the best. They're a division rival. It could go either way. They beat each other up. So I would say they match up against the Braves.
Looking at the team that you, as a Philly fan, would not want to see if they make the playoffs, who's the team that scares you as a Phillies fan in the National League?
Well, I mean, the rest of them. I don't see a Dodgers, Giants, Milwaukee. I really don't see Philly getting past them unless they get on a streak, go into the playoffs on a streak, like a lot of teams have in the past. Like your Rockies team back, it was like 07-ish. They got on a hot streak like right at the like the final month of the season and ran through the playoffs. Of course, they weren't successful winning the World Series, but anything can happen.
Aside from Harper, who else has stood out on this roster that has really made an impact to help the Phillies to get where they are at the moment?
I also think, Andrew McCutchen, being the veteran presence in the lineup, he seems like he gives the team a spark when he's in there. I know he was out for a little while earlier in the summer, and it seems like his absence hurt the team during that span because you didn't see that same kind of energy from the team when he was out than when he's back in the lineup. Also, losing Didi Gregorius is huge too. I mean, he's been out. That's been a loss because he produces when he's in the lineups. Missing him as well.
And I think something that's really surprising is looking up his stats that he's having a stealthily quiet season. I know the average isn't where it is, 222, but 24 homers, 70 RBIs for a guy who finished in the top 5 of the MVP 4 times, finished in the top 3 of the MVP 3 times, and was an MVP himself in 2013. But as you mentioned, to have him, basically, it's sort of an all-star team with him, McCutchen, Gregorius, Segura, and I know Hoskins is getting there, and you got and behind the plate.
Well. Yeah, he's played well, but he's been hampered by injuries. But when he's healthy, he produces. Same thing with JT.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing. So, do you feel that the Phillies are playing below their potential, or do you feel like they're playing right where it is? They have a huge, huge amount of guys with talent, and it sort of makes you wonder: are they underperforming?
Well, I mean, I can't really say that. It's just they got to just come together. It's just one day it's one guy, one day it's another person. It seems like they can't all come together at the same time. Now, we've seen like last month when they all came together, they were putting up like double-digit runs. They had that run streak, 7 games with 7 or more runs in a row. They can put up the runs once everybody's on that clicking, but It's just inconsistent. It's wildly inconsistent.
Looking at the playoffs and looking at the World Series, who do you have coming out of the American League? Who do you have coming out of the National League? Who wins the World Series and in how many games?
I think from the American League, I think Houston's going to go. I think Houston's going to go from American League, and also from National, I think Dodgers get in, and if they go in, I think they're going to go from the National League, and I think LA will win it in 6 games.
You know, and I think now that the Dodgers have been vindicated and they've gotten that burden off their back of winning the World Series where they've been stalled either by the Astros or the Nationals coming back in that one playoff game or the Red Sox and things like that, that it might be their chance to just start a new dynasty. And it looks like everybody's talking about how
I don't know about a dynasty, Earl. The competition's way up from when, the Dodgers were like beating everybody, from that time. But if they win it this year, I don't think they repeat.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. I mean, technically, they had a mini-ish Buffalo Bills type dynasty where they were getting there, getting to the World Series, getting the LCS, couldn't get over the hump against the Cardinals.
Right.
Like I said, the Nats rallying back, losing to the Red Sox, losing to the Astros, and now everybody would say it was last year, shortened season. If you didn't win it, then there would have been the problem. But it'll be interesting to see.
They have the pitching, though, that take them there. If they all on, they're all healthy, yeah, man, that's scary in the playoffs.
As we wrap this up, Brian, do you have anyone you want to give shout outs to? What are ways people can reach out to you on social media to talk Phillies baseball?
Facebook, Brian Banks, Facebook. Shout out to everybody, love all the people out there. So deuces to y'all. Yeah, just Facebook. I'm on Twitter, but I never post anything at all. I just follow people or whatever, news or whatever. But yeah, Facebook is where I am.